Hey everybody, this is Shani. I hope you are having an entanglement free Sunday. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about my book, Healthy Love 365, which I wrote several years ago. And in this book, I really uplift the importance of being in love with yourself. Because before you can have a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship with your coworkers, your family, your parents, your children, you have to be whole and healthy for yourself, or at least making some attempts to be whole and healthy and deal with any trauma, any toxic things that have happened in your life, to really get clear mind, body, and spirit. And I was watching the interview, the Red Table Talk with Jada and Will and August Alsina, and honestly, it has been like pure comedy to me. I'm not laughing at their situation as a family because whatever relationship they have with themselves, I don't know about that. And we've heard that they have an open marriage. I don't know, they have neither confirmed nor denied that. But what I'm saying is that anytime, you're talking about, a third party entering into your marriage, that also comes with a lot of confusion, hurt, pain, and it can be very toxic if not dealt with appropriately. So they took themselves to the red table and, kind of ended like, all right, bad marriage for life. This is who we are and we get it. We understand each other. We pretty much not going to change. But I would encourage you to not necessarily follow the Smith model if you are in a relationship, but to really get in touch with what your needs are, okay? And a lot of that starts with figuring out who you are as an individual. As they mentioned at the Red Table, they both had to do their own work as a couple, and they had to really come to a point where they realized that my partner cannot make me happy. I have to find ways to make myself happy. And I really talk about that in this book in the chapter 6, where I write, do your own work. And what I had to realize as Shani was, looking back at some of my relationships, where were the red flags, or what was I missing? And what I realized is that oftentimes in life, we try to change other people. We try to change our spouses, or we try to change our family members. We try to change our coworkers. We try to change so many things around us because we recognize, like, hey, there's a pathology there, or this is something negative, or this is something I don't like. But oftentimes we can, we can stand to change our own lives and change our own behavior and change some of our own thoughts and beliefs about things. And so that helped me to achieve greater clarity when I started to think about marriage. Really, what work do I need to do so that I can be whole and healthy before I enter into this next phase of my life? And what I realize is that we all have experienced some level of trauma from our childhoods. It could be maybe somebody bullied you in the 6th grade and that memory stuck with you, or maybe you had a bad relationship in college and some of that weight of that relationship you're still carrying. Maybe you had a bad experience with your coworkers, or maybe your parents dishonored you in some way. Maybe the church dishonored you in some way. We have to heal and find a way to heal from the trauma that has occurred to us, and not to push it to the back of our minds and just say it happened, I'm stronger than the trauma, but to really bring it up in a healthy way and deal with it. Because what we do as individuals, we carry that stuff with us into our relationships. So if you had a bad experience with this job over here, if you haven't dealt with those feelings and really kind of cleared the air with that situation and made peace with it, whether there is resolution or not, you're going to just carry it on. And the same thing happens in marriage. It happens in our relationships with our family members, our friends. Whatever we don't clear and get clear with ourselves on, and just kind of clean that negativity out, we just carry it on with us into the next phase of our lives. And I think at the Red Table Talk, you could hear that coming out from Will and Jada, that, we all have things that, we need to clear. Or I had some things, as Jada was saying, I need to get cleared on with myself before I try to heal somebody else. So I just want to encourage you to not necessarily use the Smiths as a model for your life or for your marriage. They have their own thing that they live by, their own rules and their own standards, and that's perfectly okay because that's what they're doing in their homes. But ultimately, get clear with yourself. Do your own work. Recognize that we all are works in progress. I have a beautiful, wonderful husband, but he's not perfect. He has a beautiful, wonderful wife, but guess what? I'm not perfect. So every day is an opportunity for us to get clear with ourselves, to really, tap into the areas that we can improve in. And sometimes hearing that feedback from our friends and family members is needed. It may not be what we want to hear, but we need to hear those things to really help us improve. So just understand that you're not the worst person in the world, but also you are not perfect. And we all have our own work to do. And another thing to remember, before we try to move into so many different relationships and move and take advantage of so many different opportunities, make sure we are healed, healthy, and whole. And it's a work. It doesn't happen overnight. So do the work that you need to do to be better for yourself, so that when you're in your marriage relationship, you're in your dating relationship, your courtships, you're not bringing hurt and pain to other people. And that's one thing Tim and I often talk about in our marriage. We talk about some of the trauma he's experienced in his life. I talked about some of the trauma I've experienced in my life. It hasn't been like a whole lot of trauma, but you have your little situations here and there that you could define as, a little bit traumatic. But what we say is that for our life and for our marriage and for our household, we don't want that legacy of trauma or negativity to continue. So we're going to set a new standard in our household, and we try to check in with each other to make sure that we're clear on what's going on with ourselves as people, and what bad things we need to change or reflect on or just do away with, and how we as a couple can grow and help each other just be better overall. So those are just some of my words I like to share with you. Entanglement, live an entanglement-free life, because as I wrote in my book, The She Devotional, when you start getting out there, dipping and tripping and doing all this stuff, what ends up happening is somebody's going to end up on snap, okay? In the Woods household, we already have made it very clear we ain't going down that path. And so I just continue to pray for you all. I'm praying for Will, Jada, in August, and that they all find peace and clarity in their lives in whatever area they need it, and that, God just continues to bless them all. And just, that's my message for you. Be clear with yourself and don't bring trauma and hurt to other people by not having that level of clarity. Make sure you love yourself first, because before you can love anyone else and be in a healthy, whole relationship with your mama, sister, daddy, friend, cousin, dog, auntie, or neighbor, you must be in a healthy relationship with yourself. And you must be able to see the good in yourself. And you must be able to clear up some of that negativity that we all possess. All right. Love you. That's my message. Take care and do something for your mind, body, and spirit today.